What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Nothing But Skills, and in today's video we are going to be showing you a PvE build that melts. Yes, this is probably one of my favorite PvE builds to run right now when I run solo, when I'm farming. I just threw it together a couple days ago and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I run a similar build like this in PvP and I was like, you know what, maybe if I could tweak this around a little bit, get it with the right talents, this build could work really good in PvE, right? So it does, and if you're noticing, this is a level 4 control point, so we are taking out those gold enemies really fast due to the amount of damage to elites we have on this build. And if you notice, the skills themselves are healing me and putting out damage, so it's the best of both worlds: damage, healing, survivability, and you can see why this build actually works really good. So in this video, I'll be breaking down the whole build, and hopefully you guys leave a thumbs up if you guys enjoy it. If you guys have any questions, as always, use the comment section after you guys see the build, and then I can try to answer those to the best of my ability. Alright, boys and girls, let's get this party started. Let's dive right into the build. So we are running 483,000 armor, 59,000 health. We have 2,800 skill power on the hive, and then 3,000 on the secret mines. The weapon I am using is a police M4 replica. This gives me base damage of an 18.9k. This one is about 0.4 off of max. We do have status on here. This is going to deal 10% weapon damage to bleeding enemies. After 3 kills, I apply bleed to the next enemy. So that's a lot of damage you get, and that's going to pair up with my skill. We have a leg round here for that 10% rate of fire, and then we do have rooted. Rooted is great because when you're in cover, skill damage and skill healing is going to improve by 10%. Now there's a time limit on that, but that works really good with the way my build is set up. So great talent to have on there. Now I am going to be running a damage to elites scope, which is going to give me 5% damage to elites. That's going to pair up with a nemesis for that extra 15% headshot damage. And then we do have damage to elite on the muzzle. Now you could run the Eagle Bearer for protective fire, but I like the Police M4 with the Nemesis combo. Now I do have a pistol. Run any pistol you want, but you want to have protective reload on there. So when you reload, you get that 10% armor. Now let's break down the build itself. We are running the Technician. Now the Technician is going to have a lot of really good benefits to this build. So there's a couple benefits from the Technician skill tree that we're taking advantage of. The 10% skill damage. We're taking advantage of the linked laser pointer that's going to allow us to pulse enemies. And then we also have something that's going to give us 50% skill power on this skill tree. And then not only that, we do have something that helps us against drones and robotics. So definitely a lot of really good benefits of running the Technician. Not only that, that 50% skill power is a bonus on this build. So let's break down the build, right? So for the mask, we are running a Gilligard mask. This is going to give us 5% total armor, 20% hazard protection, 15% pulse skill power. We have 53% damage to elites. We have skill power, so you do want to have a red, a yellow. We have perfect spotter, that 20% weapon damage to pulse enemies. You do need 5 utility or more. We have 7, we're good there. And then we do have a utility mod slot that's going to give us skill power, hive, and turret skill power. Honestly, if I could get one that had hive and seekers for all of them, that's what I would be going with. I don't have those, but that's what I ideally would be going with. For the chest, for the Gilligard chest, we have total armor of 7.5%. We have a 480 skill power roll on there. And then we do have 42,000 armor. Now we do run Bloodsucker. Bloodsucker for PvE is great. Depleting an enemy's armor adds a stack of 25% bonus armor for 10 seconds. Max stack is 6. So that's 150% extra armor you can have at one time. And if you're already at 500k, that's going to be another 750 armor on there on top of the 500k you already have. That's crazy. So just think about it like that. Then we do have a utility mod slot on here, so you do want the one that comes with 2 blues and a yellow. Remember, skill power, you do want to put seeker or hive, and then you want to have that armor in total armor, so around 4,000 armor if you have those, with the 4% total armor. I have one that has health regen and then another one that gives me health. We get into the holster. The holster is the Fenris holster. Now since I am running AR, I am going to run 1 Fenris piece. Now depending on what weapon you decide to run, you might switch it out: Sokolov, Petrov, whatever gun you want to use. Now this gives me 10% assault rifle damage, 770 skill power, and we do have a health roll on there, plus we have devastating for that 5% damage. Now we have another piece of Gilligard. This is going to give us 12% total armor with hard hitting for that 25% damage to elites. So we are stacking some kind of damage to elites on this build. And then the great thing about Healer Guard knee pads, we always get those 2 defensive mod slots. So we have armor, total armor health, armor, total armor, and protection from elites. We dive right into the gloves. The gloves are going to give us health, 13% assault rifle damage, and then we have compensated. Weapon damage is increased by 10% when your critical hit chance is below 20%. So we are getting that extra 10% damage, and then we have a utility mod on here for that skill power and seeker skill power. So like I said, we do want to stay under 3, which we're at 3, 12, 7, so we do hit compensated, and that's why we have so much damage on this build, along with all the extra bonuses we're going to get from running something like a Stinger Hive, and I'll explain that in a second. Finally, we have the backpack. We have 18.5% total armor, we have 31k armor, and then we have 1% weapon damage. Now, the crazy thing about this is this backpack is so old. I bought it a long time ago, and I just haven't found a better piece. It sucks that I haven't got a better one with on the ropes, where weapon damage is increased by 15% while all skills are on cooldown, and then we have harden on here. So I get the extra weapon damage when my seekers are on cooldown and when my Stinger Hive is on cooldown. That's a lot of extra damage right there. This does have a utility mod, and since I was maxed out on the skill power that I needed for my mods, I put explosive damage on there so my seekers hit a little bit harder. And then we do have an armor and total armor defensive mending mod. Now, the way I have this build set up is, to me, probably the most efficient way to run it with the Stinger Hive and the Seekers, and that's because the Seekers are going to allow us to activate status, right? So that's what I love about this build. We have a lot of damage to elites, we have a lot of raw damage, so at the end of the day, we're going to be hitting hard. We run this with clusters. Clusters are going to do 303k damage. Now with the clusters, you do want to run skill haste mods on here because they're going to come back every 13 seconds. Now remember, every time your clusters go off, you get 20% of your armor back. So you're going to have 2 skill haste mods and then 1 damage mod on the payload slot. And I only have one at 71%. If I could get one a little bit higher, that would be better, but at 303,000 base damage, I cannot complain, and it comes back every 13 seconds. So it still hits really hard against those NPCs, and then remember, damage to leech is going to stack on this. So that's why it can hit those named and elite enemies pretty hard. Now I do pair this up with the Stinger Hive. Now the Stinger Hive is going to do 126,000 damage. I do have duration on here. I do have damage. Ideally, I would like to take the duration off, put more damage on here, and then have the charges. So I would have one that has 91% charges, and then I would have 2 that have damage. Now, just like the Seekers, once this destroys, I will get healed for 20% of my armor. So I'm getting that heal, and that's how I stay alive, right? So having Satis, having Allegro on there, putting out a lot of damage consistently, stacked with compensated, on the ropes, with the damage to elites, with the headshot damage. There's a lot of damage on here, and the survivability is there. We're going to take a look at the stats. Let's break it down for you real quick, because I know a lot of you guys like to see that. We run no crit chance, well, crit damage doesn't really matter because we have 0 crit chance. We have 55% headshot damage, so that's where it's going to be a little bit higher, because with the Nemesis, that'll push us to 70% headshot damage. We go down, we have 16% all weapon damage, 38% assault rifle damage, and we finish it off with 88% damage to elites. So you stack that all together. You remember, damage to elites does affect your clusters, and it does affect your bleed. So that's why having that all stacked together, you're going to perform really well with this build. This has currently taken over my skill build. I got tired of running skill builds. It got kind of boring in the division, you know, running around, just throwing your seekers out, letting everything just get blown up. And I decided to run something that I could run skill damage. I could still be able to use my AR and melt. And I have a lot of fun running this. This is probably one of those builds that you have a lot of damage with your weapon and with your skill, and not having to run a heal because you have Bloodsucker. You also get the 20% armor back every time your Seekers go off, and that's going to be consistently. So staying alive with this build with high armor, high damage, and high skill damage is a cakewalk. Let me know what you guys think about this build. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section. I appreciate all the support you guys been showing on these builds, and if you guys have anything you guys want me to do a video on Division 2 related, let me know in the comment section. We're going to wrap up this video here. Thank you guys again for the support, but until the next one, nothing but skills out.